Let's move on to our next presentation on college finance, paying for college, and the presenter is Tanika House. Tanika is Purdue University Northwest Assistant Director of Financial Aid and Workshop Leader. Tanika has extensive experience assisting students and parents with applying for aid, understanding the financial aid process, learning about different types of scholarships and aids, maintaining financial aid eligibility, and managing finances while in college. Please welcome Tanika House.
Scholarships, student loans, and federal work study. Those are the 4 resources that may be available for students and their families to help them pay for their college expenses. So we know that education is an investment and it will cost you, and that's the reality of it. So with that being said, will I be attending in-state or out-of-state? How much will it cost for room and board? How much will it cost for transportation if I have to travel back and forth? Food, etc. So you have to make certain good financial decisions in determining what's the best plan for you. Consider your options. Many times we have students that can obtain the same degree in-state as opposed to out-of-state tuition. And sometimes we can find as many scholarships available for in-state versus out-of-state. So when you're actually looking at the many different colleges that may be available for you, just maximize some of those resources that may be available for you for in-state versus out-of-state. Applying for a free application for federal student aid. There's so many different resources that can assist the students and their families. However, financial aid is one of those resources. So applying for the free application for federal student aid is exactly what it stands for. You do not have to pay anyone any money to do that application for you. Many times we have students to actually log on to FAFSA.gov. That is a site where sometimes you have to pay someone a little bit over $100 to pay this application fee. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. That's exactly what it stands for. You do not have to pay anyone any money to do this application. FAFSA.gov. Also, some of your financial goals would be to meet with your academic advisor. I know in high school we call them guidance counselors, but when you get in college, it's your academic advisor to meet with them to set out a plan or map out a plan to make sure that you're successful in graduating in 4 years. Minimizing some of your educational expenses. Many times that we have students or high school students who actually enroll in dual courses that they can actually take while in high school to transfer into college. And many times, just like my students, they have actually registered for, by the time they actually graduate out of high school, they have already completed at least 30 credit hours at the most. So getting into college, they've already mastered their, actually ran through their freshman year and right into their sophomore year. And that's taking those dual credits while you're in high school, which is a great advantage. And then the tuition costs on taking those high school credits are a lot less expensive than when you actually enroll in classes at college, okay? 529 plans, we have some students and their families who actually set up college savings plans to minimize some of those educational costs. Employer tuition benefits, that is for employees who actually works at the university, and sometimes the students and their families are able to get a discounted tuition break for their students. And then also following the academic plan of study. 15 credit hours per semester, usually it's 5 credit hours, 5 classes per semester, 30 credit hours per academic year that will graduate a student in 4 years. So that's 30 credit hours per academic year, fall, spring semester. We do have some students who actually says, well, 15 credit hours is a lot for me. So let me enroll in at least 12 credit hours, maybe 4 classes at a time per semester. And you can finish up in summer if you choose to do so. But at least that's minimizing some of those educational expenses as opposed to enrolling in 2 classes at a time, and it's just prolonging the situation in finishing your college education. and then as well as searching for scholarships and applying for scholarships, and I'll talk about that shortly. Free application for federal student aid. There's 3 ways to actually access your FAFSA application. Long before time, when I was in school, there was only a paper application available. And it was a really, really thick application that you had to complete and you had to send over to the federal processor, and it was a lengthy process. That application, that paper application, is still available for those who choose to do it on paper. However, the FAFSA on the web is, the turnaround time is real time. As soon as you hit the application, you get an instant, a quick end result of what you may be eligible to receive on FAFSA.gov. And then also the new thing is that it's available mobile app. That is fairly new to the students and their families. But these are the 3 ways that the students can actually submit their FAFSA application online or via the paper app. In order to for your FAFSA application to be successfully submitted and processed through the federal processor, the student and the parent will need to apply for what we call as a federal student aid ID. That's used as your electronic signature. You would need your social security number, your last name, first name, middle name, birth date. That information is cleared through the Homeland Security to make sure that you are the person that is attached to this federal student aid ID. So completing the free application for federal student aid, your FAFSA application, there are so many different important deadline dates that this application must be submitted. Every year, the application is available October 1st. It used to be January 1st, so now it's October 1st for the students and their families to give them an opportunity to submit it on time. And if there's needed corrections for the FAFSA application, you can certainly go back in to do those corrections. The deadline date for Indiana state residents is April 15th. There's so many different deadline dates depending on the state that you actually live in. But the Indiana state deadline date is April 15th. The application is always available October 1st. Completing the free application, what's needed, of course, your social security number, your income information, your 1040s, your 1048, 1040EZ, your household income is reported on your FAFSA application, information about your assets, your driver's license information, and etc. So paying for college, you are completing the free application for federal student aid. You're submitting this application early to see what you're eligible to receive. And sometimes we have this early deadline date for students and their families because the schools of their choice have deadline dates themselves. So this deadline date and the early application, submitting this application should be submitted as early as October 1st, okay? So that by that way, when you're searching for scholarships, some of the requirement of the scholarship is for you to have that FAFSA application on file, and as well as setting a budget early enough so that you can figure out if there's any monies that I have to pay out of pocket. The types of aid that you may be eligible for once you submit the application, it's your gift aid, money that you do not have to pay back. So that's your grants, your federal Pell Grant, supplemental education opportunity grants, your state grant for Frank O'Bannon, 21st Century Scholar, and then also you have your scholarships. Those are monies that you do not have to pay back. Self-help aid, on the other hand, if students are interested in working on campus, there's a question that's on the FAFSA application in reference to federal work study. What the government does is pay the student's salary while they are working here on campus, okay? Probably not working no more than 20 hours a week, but at least that's some money that they are earning while they're on campus. Federal direct staff loans, money that you do have to pay back, and as well as federal Parent Plus loans. Scholarships, of course, there's so many different scholarships that the students may apply for, and your scholarships can be based on merit, based on financial need, certain criteria within the community or military service, and when students are searching for scholarships, that is money that is available for the students that they do not have to pay back. And these are certainly fees that can be applied towards their tuition. It can be applied towards their housing, food, transportation, etc. So many different scholarships that may be available based on the student's major, their interest of choice, scholarship eligibility for the family, disability, ethnicity, if you're an in-state resident. So there's so many different scholarships available. And actually, I just have a screenshot of what some of the scholarships that I had come across for students that actually apply for scholarships. And with my son, real quick, when my son was in college, it's almost like pulling teeth when it gets students to apply for scholarships. So my son has asthma. And so we applied for a scholarship for students that have asthma, and he received a $1,000 scholarship every academic year. He went to IU Bloomington and he received a $1,000 scholarship. Now, sometimes when we're receiving these scholarships, it's for the academic year, and those academic years is usually split in half between the two semesters. So $500 per semester is not bad, especially that's money that you do not have to pay out of pocket, right? So I come across another one real quick was the Asparagus Club. So for students that like asparagus, I don't like asparagus, but I love it for $500. So I said, wow, someone created a scholarship for students that like asparagus. That's amazing. So, but then of course you have your other scholarships there for the restaurant, the food chains and things like that, weird scholarships. So I just come up with some of those. And then the one that's on your right would be that lovely couple there is a duct tape contest scholarship. That is their prom outfit made out of duct tape. Very nice, $10,000 scholarship. So, it's so many different scholarships out here, and I just encourage the students and their families to search for as many as you can, because they do exist. Now, with federal work study, going back to finding employment on campus, I'm sure that. But with federal work study, I was a student worker here on campus, but just earning money, the student have to complete the free application for federal student. They have to complete their FAFSA application submitted by the priority deadline dates to qualify for the monies that the government can offer the student to find an opportunity to work on campus. It definitely reduce the student loan borrowing if you do not have to, because you're earning the money while you're on campus. That is money that you can use for your books and supplies and transportation and food and things like that. Flexible work schedule. I have about 9 student workers in my office, and the convenient location for the students, and they're earning money while they're here on campus. Now back to those loans. So with financial aid, unfortunately, financial aid student loans are part of the students completing the free application for federal student aid. Those loans can come in 2 forms, subsidized and unsubsidized. Subsidized loans are the loans that the government says that they will pay the interest while the student is enrolled in school. The unsubsidized loan, unfortunately, that particular loan accrues interest monthly on the student's account. It's a little bit over 5.05% interest. These particular student loans does not go into repayment until 6 months after the student graduates, if they fall below 6 credit hours or stop attending for any reason. Okay, those are the student loans that the students would qualify for if they choose to submit a free application for federal student aid, which is your FAFSA application. As a dependent student, if the student must provide their parents' information on the FAFSA application, as a dependent student, the student as an incoming freshman can receive the maximum of $5,500. And then that's split in half between the 2 semesters, okay? And as an independent student freshman, which means that the parents' information is not needed on the FAFSA application, can receive up to $9,500 in student loan. And there's your interest rate with the 5.05% interest. Now going back to the subsidized loan, which is the interest-free loan that the government says that they will pay while the student is in school. If that loan is not paid off 6 months after that student graduates from college, if they stop attending for any reason or fall below 6 credit hours, that interest rate is then added on to that subsidized loan, okay? There are aggregate loan limits that the students can borrow up to. So as a dependent student, the student can borrow up to $31,000, as well as an independent student can borrow up to $57,500. Those are the caps. And then also the Parent Plus loan. So that is part of when the students actually submit the FAFSA application as part of the financial aid package. And the parents will be offered a student loan, a parent plus loan, with the interest rate of about 7.6% interest. Knowing your borrowing history. Sometimes when we, or if you have students who have borrowed a student loan or down the line working on their undergraduate or graduate program, you may have to borrow a loan. And if needed, National Student Loan Database can provide you with your total loan borrowing history, which is a great website for students who have borrowed loans to know who your loan servicer is, to know what interest has accrued on your account, and know exactly how much I may have to pay. Loans are a serious responsibility when it comes to borrowing, knowing that that is money that you do have to pay back. You don't want to chance that loan going into what we call as a defaulted loan, so that's what you want to avoid. Sometimes we have students, they graduate from college, and unfortunately, sometimes we did not land that dream job and we're not ready to go into repayment of that particular student loan debt. However, you do not want to ignore the fact that that loan is now in repayment and it has to be paid back, okay? Because if you ignore those loan services giving you a call, unfortunately what can happen is that now I can garnish your wages, I can do what we call as a income tax intercept for repayment of those student loans, but then it also affects your credit. So that's why I always encourage the students and their families to maybe search for some of those monies that you do not have to pay back, and search for as many scholarships as you can, because they do exist. Or find other alternatives, meaning find a job on campus if need be. And also work with some of your guidance counselors or your academic advisors to see if there's some additional resources that may be available for you. So some of the repayment plans for student loans, because there's so many different type of repayment plans available for you. So you have your standard, extended, graduate plan, and income-driven repayment plans. But the most common popular one would be the standard plan. So once the student graduates, 9 times out of 10, the student is setting up a standard payment plan to make payments if needed. But also, depending on your program of study, the loan through Department of Education, they do offer what we call is a loan forgiveness. So a lot of students don't realize there are certain types of loan forgiveness programs that the students may be eligible to receive based on their program of study. I know some nurses and teachers. I know my sister, she was in the nursing field, she graduated from here, and her loans were forgiven, and I should have selected my nursing program myself. Otherwise, I was in business. But here are some helpful websites that I thought would be extremely helpful for you. Studentaid.gov, it will give you a wealth of information, scholarship information, financial aid information, college savings plan information is available on this particular site. And then also the second website there, FAFSA Forecaster. Pretty much I like this website because it'll give you an idea of what you may be eligible to receive if you just want to toy around with the website just to get an idea of what the state or the federal will offer you going forward. And then that's the end of my presentation. I thank you guys for listening. Thank you.